October 12th, day 3 here on the Edgework Show. We get a good day yesterday, going 2-0, thanks to all totally in part of the Leafs Habs game, covering +1.5 for the Habs there, as well as the over, which was pretty easy for us to get through there. But before we recap yesterday's games and yesterday's wins, I want to remind people that the easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is by using multiple sports books and always getting the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp to do so. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet, so make sure to download the app today. If you are looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/edgework, or you could hit the link in the description of this show. If you sign up through this page, it does help support the show. Now, Russ, I mean, before we get into yesterday's games, get into today's games, it's been a long summer. I haven't seen you in a while. How's the golf game coming?
It's great, man. Yeah, actually got to play a lot this summer after all the wedding and the honeymoon stuff was done. Unfortunately, it fell like right in the middle of the NHL playoffs, so I had to take like a week off from that. But it was good. I don't really bet playoffs as much as I do regular season, and I think I think this time of year, right in the beginning month of the season, there's a ton of value to be had as people are still figuring out which teams, are the same as last year and which teams are a little bit different. So, I think I'm pumped to talk some hockey. And, we got like a month worth left of golf here. It's not getting too cold. I'm sure it's getting chilly up where you guys are.
Yeah, a little bit. It got there pretty quickly. I mean, we were talking about it last week. We had like a day where it's 28 degrees and the very next day was 12. And just like that, it's hockey season. It's cold weather. But well, glad to hear you had a good summer there. Moretto, I mean, we cashed both bets yesterday, so we go 2-0, which is nice. I mean, Matt Alber at this point might just retire from Edgework and say, see you later with 100%. But how you feeling after yesterday? What are your thoughts? Let's get into it. The Habs and the Leafs go to a shootout. The Leafs come out victorious with a 6-5 win. We do cash +1.5. Cash the over 6.5. Talk me through your thoughts about the Leafs Habs game last night.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we nailed that pretty bang on. Matt with the +1.5 and me with the over. The +1.5 was kind of in doubt at one point. After that second period, it looked like the Leafs maybe could just run away with the game. Obviously, that didn't happen. It is the Leafs as big favorites. They love to let teams hang around. That's what they did. And the over, I mean, we thought Montreal's forward group was a little bit underrated. I think that kind of, came to light last night with Slavkovsky, Doc, and Newhook. That second line was really good. Suzuki, Caulfield, that first line, had their chances. Caulfield scored twice. Obviously, only one of them counted. And we talked about the Leafs decor being, maybe significantly overrated. I think that's obviously something that needs to be addressed for this team. I don't know what you do if you're Brad Treliving, because you might need 2 or 3 bodies back there. But yeah, I mean, TJ Brody has basically fallen off a cliff in the last 50 games or so.
Let me ask you this though. You said the word overrated. Is it overrated, or is it what most sane people thought it was?
Well, yes, no, overrated in the sense that this team is expected to be a cup favorite, right? And they're priced as a cup favorite. But with this decor, I don't see how that can be, I think that in that sense, I think, obviously people, realize that maybe the defense isn't up to snuff, but the way they're priced as, top 3 team in the league, basically widely, I don't think that's necessarily the case with a guy like TJ Brody, Klingberg, who's basically a fourth forward when he's out there. Offensively fantastic though. That play to keep the puck in for the tying goal, I think it was just a fantastic play. But I mean, you have Giordano on the third pairing, who's how much does he have left in the tank? Liljegren's got some real Travis Dermott in him. We saw that last night with the 5th goal. But yeah, I mean, I think we handicapped that game pretty well. The whole offside review thing, I don't think that changed the game around completely. I think what changed the game around was Jake Allen letting in an absolute, softy wrister from the high circle, top of the circle. That kind of changed things around. But yeah, I think these offside reviews are an absolute disaster. I can't do them. I can't do another full season of these. Whether they work for you or against you, they just drive me insane every single time. You've got a millimeter offside, or the guy's skate just comes up. It's that's not what the rule was in place for. the rule and the reviews were instituted because of like a gross error that happened with Cogliano, like a massive error that like anyone could tell with one quick replay. Going with like 35 different angles and piecing together slow motion reviews to find out a guy was a millimeter offside is just like not the point of this, in my opinion. I think we need to abolish these completely and just like clear and obvious errors. If you can like catch an offside within 30 seconds that wasn't caught in real time, then sure, let's review it. Have them buzz down and say it doesn't count. Get rid of the challenges. Yeah, exactly. But I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was supposed to be for. And where we've gotten to with it is just so extreme. And I think that we need to, I think that's something that needs to be addressed at one point. But I might be in the minority. Who knows?
Well, Russ, where do you stand? Are you on the abolish the offside review side as well?
No, I think Alex makes some good points there. It slows things down a lot. And, it depends on, it kind of depends on how it shakes out. It's sort of 50-50 for me. Some of the time it seems necessary, and some of the time, yeah, I agree with Alex where it just seems like it's slowing the game down, and it's not what it was made for. So, there was some questionable, reviews in that game for sure.
Yeah. As far as like the tree living trading guys and stuff, I mean, Moretto, I said it to you last night. True Living tried to trade Brody before. He tried to trade him to the Leafs, actually, in a deal for Nazem Kadri, and Kadri was the one who turned it down at that point in time because of his no trade. I'm not going to be surprised if True Living tries to make a move for Brody here or to get him out. Now, the problem becomes, like, you're going to see Leafs fans on Twitter crawling around and saying you can get some amazing return. Reality is you can't. He's got a year left on a big contract, and he's a rapidly declining player on the other end. So I don't really just see any type of value coming back, but it might open up some cap space for you there to make a move. But I mean, boys, the biggest story of last night, it has nothing to do with what was going on the ice. Mike Bromberg asking, are we happy with the new Leafs goal song? Moretto, how are you feeling about the pursuit of happiness?
Ruin the song for me. I'm done with it now. I mean, I'm done with it.
All right, fair enough. Enough talking about this game. A couple other games that went on last night that were interesting. One that I really wanted to get to. We talked about it a little bit on the show. You couldn't really get there with the number of where it was at with the Vancouver Canucks against the Edmonton Oilers. Then we start to get some information that there's a flu going around the Canucks, hitting them hard. We can't tell what kind of flu, how hard it's hitting them, how many people have been affected. And I mean, we've heard of the Jordan flu game. This is the Canucks flu game. Come out and absolutely whomp the Edmonton Oilers 8-1 last night. 4-spot put up on Jack Campbell. He's pulled 27 minutes into the game. Stuart Skinner comes in, lets in another 4 goals. I mean, Russ, what do you make of the Canucks coming out and making a statement in game 1?
Yeah, complete surprise on my side. Normally, I'm a Jack Campbell apologist. I love him. I've loved him, betting on him for years. But it seems like I might have to make some adjustments in my model because, yeah, I actually liked the Oil last night, and I was man, that was just ugly. He played absolutely awful. I got to give some credit to the Canucks. They played well. They put pucks on goal. It's not like it didn't seem like they did anything overly surprising. It's just like the defense could not stop any shots, and the goalies couldn't stop a thing either. So, I mean, full credit to the Canucks here. I was completely surprised there. It looked like the Canucks did take some money, and then that flu information started going around, and then you saw that that Demko was puking in his helmet. I heard last night. So it was just a wild game overall, and for him to play like that with the flu. Very impressed. I think, so money's probably very happy so far. 1-0 on the season. Get the Canucks futures in. But yeah, I'll probably have to make some adjustments after that game. It was a surprise for me.
Yeah, I mean, we might all be Canucks this season. We'll see what So Money has to say when we get him back on the show in the next couple weeks coming up here. But in the meantime, make sure if you are watching right now and you have not hit subscribe to the channel and like the stream for So Money and for his Canucks. Moretto, your thoughts on last night's game between the Oilers and the Canucks?
I mean, I'm upset that I didn't pull the trigger here on the show because I talked about how I leaned to the Canucks and I was close to a play and I just didn't quite want to give it out. Maybe a little trigger shy after an 0-2 start to the season on Tuesday night, but nonetheless, I think it's one game. I'm not going to take much from it. Yeah, that was a fantastic tweet with the flu bug going around too. It kind of scares you off the Canucks, and apparently that's all they need to be an incredible team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're at a point though where like there's a lot of overreaction with obviously Campbell. That's concerning, but they still have the Stuart Skinner behind him, and I think we're going to be at a point where like the Canucks, the Oilers are going to be like 7-3 after their first 10 games, and it's all just going to be a little blip on the radar. I don't think I'm going to take too much from it. Small sample, one game, but they look bad, and the Canucks look really good. Offensively look really good. If they can keep it going, then yeah. I mean, again, they went 11-6 last night, right? One of like 5 teams. Both of these teams did because of the salary cap constraints. Yeah, we need to get that cap raised as well. That's another thing that needs to happen pretty soon.
Real quick before we move off of this game, put yourself in the shoes of a Edmonton Oilers fan right now. Last year, one of the biggest concerns you kind of had coming away from the season was you can't really get the stop when you need it to. Stuart Skinner is your guy basically all season. In the playoffs, it turns to Jack Campbell, and now Jack Campbell's thrown in there. Can Jack Campbell be the guy to do it? And then it's not necessarily like they were a detriment to the team per se, but they were not a helping factor in terms of getting wins on a nightly basis. You didn't really address this at all in the offseason. If you're sitting there as an Oilers fan, what is your level of concern about this team going into this year, watching these two guys night one both get 4 goals put past them? And I mean, Russ, you're going to go into this season with just having to rely on this again.
Yeah, I think Alex hit on it, not overreact. It's one game. I do think that there's some issues with Jack Campbell, and I'm not sure why they went back to him. Maybe just the veteran thing, first game at home, trusting him a little bit more. But it's pretty clear, from this moment forward that they will probably make the switch to Skinner. I think a lot of us on this show last year talked about how much better Skinner was at the end of the year. So I think it's quite surprising for me that they started Campbell. My model has a bunch of priors to where Campbell used to be actually pretty solid in net. And, I think that's just breaking down lately. But overall, if you're a fan of the Oil, like Moretto said, you can't dwell on this one loss. It was ugly. It was bad. But fast forward 10 games, and I think it won't be a big deal at all.
Right.
It's early.
All right. Other games from last night, briefly to get to touch on here. We do see the Colorado Avalanche against the LA Kings. Russ, your Colorado Avalanche, winning last night 5-2. What did you see with the Avalanche that you liked, disliked? Any reactions, overreactions, or you just kind of took away, hey, this is a good win. You came into that game favored, and that's about all there is to say.
Yeah, well, this line originally started pretty even at -110 both ways, and the Avalanche took a ton of money once you saw that a couple of the players were out for the Kings. And I thought that the move was a little bit too much, and so we did play on the Kings +115, and I mean, that was just awful, completely awful. The Avs ended up putting up 7.8 expected goals. The Kings couldn't stop anything. Ton of shots on goal. The Avs just absolutely dominated from start to finish. So I think, as an Avs fan, they looked great. They looked like, kind of picked up where they left off the year prior. And I think, a lot of people were hating on them for being one of the top favorites, one of the favorites for the President's Cup. But, I think this is one of the best teams in the league, and they showed that last night against a very, very good Kings team on the road, who I thought would have a much better defense this year. But 7.8 expected goals, it's hard to do. So they're up there with the Canucks, man. They played very well, and the Kings just couldn't stop anything.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking kind of where we could get to on a Kings line. It does continue to move out there yesterday for the Avalanche, but interesting to see moving forward. Now, as far as games go today, let's get into it. We do have 7 on the schedule here tonight, so we'll break all of those down. Feels good to have hockey back on TV. For the entire for the entire night. So starting with the New York Rangers on the road at the Buffalo Sabres. Now the Buffalo Sabres coming off of two massive signings where they kind of just made these happen in the weeds. Rasmus Dahlin, 8-year deal, $11 million. You lock up Owen Power on a long-term deal here now too. Last night just coming in right before games. Pucks dropped in games last night. Couple good signings for the Sabres there. Now you're kind of looking at a team who's going to be on the bubble of the playoffs, at least in many people's predictions and projections. Currently, we're looking at this line with the Rangers favored at minus 125, best price available on the Rangers on the road at the Sabres. Moretto, what are your thoughts on where this line's currently sitting at? Total over 6.5, or at 6.5, sorry. Is there anything that you might like in this game that you would want to get behind?
Yeah, where the line's sitting right now, it shouts a Rangers play. And we have a guest bet today from So Money here on the Rangers. He likes the Rangers up to minus 135, so we can lock that in as a show bet right now. Wow. Personally, I did not bet it myself because, and this is probably a stupid reason, but I saw the Rangers a few times in the preseason with their full lineup, and they just looked so bad. It was really like they really struggled to score. They really struggled to generate offense, and it's the preseason, and like a lot of veteran guys on this team that maybe just don't care as much about that, which is completely fair and understandable. But it's just enough to just keep me off it right now early in the season. I didn't end up betting it. I'm also very curious to see what we're going to get from the Sabres tonight. This is a good measuring stick for them against a very good Rangers team, an Eastern Conference contender. So I think it'll be a good data point for us to have on both teams with this first game. And while I stayed off, this is a So Money special for us tonight on the Rangers.
Russ, your thoughts on this Rangers Sabres game? Where do you come in and where the price is at right now?
Yeah, I if at minus 125, I lean that way. Also, I have closer to the Rangers minus 140 ish. So I agree. I'd play it up to I would play it right up to 135 or so. Still have a little bit of value there. I think the hype train is very high on the Sabres, where we kind of know what the Rangers are going to be. Looks like the Sabres are starting one rookie. So have to do some assumptions on my model, but also looking at the over here, I think at 6.5, there's a fair bet that it will get to 7. The majority of the time, the Buffalo Sabres were a huge over team last year, going 46-31 to the over, and we know that Igor Shesterkin is probably one of the best in net. But I think the Rangers' offense was really solid last year too. They're up from 3 goals the year before to 3.3 goals per game, and they were a solid offensive team. So that's the way I would look. I think at some point in the season you'll probably end up getting over-unders at 7 on this Buffalo Sabres team, just because they're such an offensive power and their defense kind of struggles. So that's the way I would be looking. I haven't bet it yet personally, just because it looks like Devin Levi is in goal. We've only got 7 games of data on him. So that skews a few things for me. And it just makes me, kind of assume things where early on in the year, I tend to be a little bit more conservative on bets like that. But yeah, I think if I get confirmation and look at this a little deeper, over 6.5 at minus 110 is a good play, and agreed with So Money on the Rangers minus 125. That probably should be closer to minus 140, I think.
Do you want to lock this in here on the over 6.5? Minus 110 was best price available, or should we just?
No, I'll skip it for now.
Look off. All right.
I've got a couple others that I like, and that's probably the third or fourth bet that I like. I doubt I will lock it in, but I could easily see this game getting to 7.
All right, fair enough. So we'll leave that off. We do have a best bet there, courtesy of our guys So Money. Minus 125 on the Rangers, get up to minus 130. Moretto, did he say? Minus
135.
Minus 135. Nice. All right, there you go. So we'll play it up to that, but minus 125, we do lock it in. Now, this next game that I'm going to go to, I'm going to give the reins over to you, Moretto, here, because I know we are looking for a price on this one between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And within about the last 15 minutes or so, this one has come back in. What are you looking at right now in Columbus, Philadelphia, and why do you like the price given where it's come back to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrified. This is the whole Kings thing last night, where the Pinnacle was offering the best price by about 10 cents on the Kings, and I'm like, well, I I mean, I kind of want to play it at this number, and then the Kings go and lose, and now Pinnacle's offering, by far the best price in market on Columbus. Over the last 15 minutes, this is just completely, the Flyers have taken a ton of money here, and I don't get it. I think that Columbus is now at minus 107, being significantly undervalued here. I would play this all the way to like minus 120. Again, with the whole penny lean thing, probably going to look stupid by the end of the night. But yeah, Columbus for me at minus 107 is definitely a play. I think that offensively and defensively, they're just a better team here. Obviously, Merzlikins scares you a little bit. Hopefully you can have a bit of a bounce back with Carter Hart in the opposite crease. I guess the Flyers have the goaltending edge. But other than that, I can't get to this number. I just don't understand how the Flyers have taken this much money.
All right, so we'll lock in Columbus there. Russ, any thoughts from you on this game and where we've kind of seen market move to here?
No, I think, I'm about right on market at minus 110 both ways. I think that it's sort of moving into where I have it. You give probably Carter Hart the edge in goal over Elvis. But other than that, this Flyers team is the favorite for one of the worst records in the league for a reason. I think it's a clear rebuilding year, so to speak, for the Flyers. Whereas the Blue Jackets showed some life last year. So, I would lean that way, especially with the Jackets at home. I'm not exactly sure who's out there just hammering the Flyers right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
All right. So best bet in this game, we're looking at Columbus minus 107. Thinking that maybe more money continues to come in on Philadelphia and see the market moving that way. But Moretto said up to minus 120, you even like that. So very much within range there, especially across multiple sports books. Now, moving to the next game, Moretto, a team that, our guy Todd was very, very happy about the way that their season had gone last season, maybe not so happy with how it had ended. Kind of waited to see if this thing might turn out to be fraudulent, but I'm more interested to see if we're going to see some regression from the Devils this season. The way that they played throughout the course of 82 games last year was very, very much above where we expected them to be, even just on an average day last year. They come in, basically sustain that throughout the entire year, finish as one of the top teams in the East, specifically in the Metro Division. Now you're going to get them minus 230 as home favorites tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. I don't really see the Detroit Red Wings being a team that had improved too much over the offseason. But, Russ, coming in minus 230 for the Devils is a number you could get behind. You think this might be a little bit too long here? What are your thoughts on where the market's currently sitting and the total at 6.5?
Yeah, originally this did look a little bit long to me, for the first game of the year, and a Red Wings team that I think is going to be a little bit better this year, but ran my numbers and right around minus 226. So I guess it's right on market for Pinnacle. Pinnacle, yeah, looks like they're sticking their neck out again. They're seeing some 250s on the board at Caesars and even minus 265 at DraftKings. Wow, that is a crazy variation there. But yeah, this game, I'm basically right on market. I do have a small edge on the over. I think that you can kind of envision a game sequence where this game is a little bit back and forth and a lot of shots on goal. So I have a small edge for the over, but it's nothing that's worth playing, and I have other plays that I like better. So yeah, I'm pretty much on market here. Kind of surprised to see it out this high, but yeah, I ran the numbers and it looks okay to me. I think that the Devils probably get the win here, but I'm pretty high on this Red Wings team. I think there's some spots to back them later this year also. But I love my Devils. They're solid. They're a solid young team who we bet on a ton last year. So yeah, I'm not looking to fade them.
And Alex, anything that you might be able to get behind here?
I really wanted to lock in a Red Wings play, but it's been bet back into range. Like yesterday when this opened at Penny, it opened at like minus 260. There was minus 270, I think it got to at one point at Penny. It's definitely been bet back down now, kind of into range. So I don't think at this point, like I could maybe justify like a half unit on Detroit plus 1.5, but like not something I'm dying to bet either. I do think the Devils are a little bit overvalued. I think matchup wise too, like the Devils lost a little bit of depth this summer, and the Red Wings gained depth, and that's kind of the Red Wings' biggest strength right now. They don't have nearly the high-end talent that the Devils have, but they can roll four lines. They have, three legitimate NHL pairings, depending on what you think of, Justin Hall and Ben Sherrod and all those guys. But, they're serviceable NHL players at the end of the day. So this is a deep team, but again, the way it's been bet back down now, I think it's kind of fair where it's sort of settled here.
Okay, next game we're going to look at here. If you followed us on day one of the show for this season, you know this is the loser bowl for us. These are the two teams that had us go 0-2 on day one. The Nashville Predators at home to the Seattle Kraken. Nashville currently sitting at -110, best price available, +103 on the Kraken. We're seeing a total of 6 right now. Moretto, are you back in the Nashville Predators here tonight? I know you're Mr. Nashville. I don't even want to say what I know the chat is going to start saying once we start talking about this Predators game, but are you a Predator?
I want to be a Predator tonight, but I can't quite do it. I can't quite do it at this price. Preds have taken a little bit of money now too. I was hoping to get like maybe a plus sign in front of the Nashville team here, but we're not going to get that. And it looks like they're. Yeah. I don't know if the market is necessarily where I am with the Predators, but like I think they're agreeing with, there's obviously some sort of the same sentiment here that Nashville's a better team than was maybe believed before the season. Obviously it's just been one game, but I thought we liked what we saw from them in that first game despite the loss. And they've taken a little bit of money now to the point where Seattle's got the plus sign in front of them at penny. It would be Nashville or nothing for me, but just like I would appreciate a bit of a better price here before I can get on this.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. I mean, not tonight. We are not Predators. Russ, any thoughts for you here before we move on?
Yeah, definitely. I do lean towards the Preds. Like Moretto said, I think that the Bridgestone Arena is a super tough place to play. Going there and watching the game, that place just gets up for games, and I don't think it'll be any different here. But no, I've got to play on the under 6, especially at plus money. Honestly, I think both of these teams are under teams as they were last year. Both of them want to play very solid defense. Seattle's 13th in goals against in regulation, and Nashville was 12th in goals in regulation last year. And really not too much of not too many changes on either team. So going to my priors here, and we did bet the Kraken and the Golden Knights under the first game of the year and got that pretty handedly. And I think this Kraken team is very solid on defense. I think this should probably be lined closer to 5.5. My numbers have 5.47. So I'll easily take a plus money under here and just hope that I was right on both teams being defensive. That's the way I'm playing this one.
All right, there you go. Another best bet, third best bet of the day. We continue to move on here, go through the games. We have 3 remaining. So we go next to the Florida Panthers at the Minnesota Wild. Now, this Florida team we know is fighting off some injuries here that they had sustained from their playoff run. It's going to eat through the first couple of weeks, couple of months of their season, depending on which guy you're looking at. But now with this Florida team, obviously that information, that news is going to be baked into the market. We're going to have that expected here, and that's why they're currently sitting plus 114 against the Minnesota Wild. Total sitting at 6.5. Any way, Russ, that you might be trying to get involved in this game, whether it be a side or a total?
Nope. I think I do have a small edge on the Panthers here, but with like you hit on, with no Ekblad, no Montour, and no Bennett, this is kind of a stay away game for me. I think this is a kind of a wait and see. If you listened to the show last year, I loved going against the Minnesota Wild as much as I could. That bit me in the butt quite a bit last year. So nope, this is a stay away game for me. I think this is a great matchup to just kind of see where each team is at. And honestly, I think this should probably be maybe minus 120 for the Wild, and it looks like it's actually ballooning out a little bit from there. Some of those plus 114s are enticing on the Panthers, but like I said, lots of injuries, starting a couple of young guys. So this is a stay away game for me.
All
right, Moretto, are you getting wild?
I'm definitely not getting wild. Like Russ, I am closer to the Panthers here. If this does keep drifting, I think I'll have no choice but to get on it. We get like a plus 120 at one point. Russ, you talked about how you faded the Wild a lot last year. I think if you keep doing that this year, the variance will turn and you'll be happier for it, because the Wild are a team I definitely am looking to fade a little bit more this season. I think that we've just gotten to a point now in the market where they're super high on this team, and I just can't quite see it. I think there'll be value betting on them betting against them early in the season. again, the shorthanded Panthers, though, just not exactly the team I want to do it with right now. If we got a bit of a different matchup, I would have been, a bit more eager to get involved here. But the Panthers, another team I'm not super high on, and missing guys now, just not the way I want to fade the Wild. But there will be other spots going forward, I think, in the coming weeks where we'll definitely have some value opportunities to bet against them.
All right. And now looking at the St. Louis Blues against the Dallas Stars, I think St. Louis is one of the teams, when I was kind of reading some of the preseason stuff, where different people were slotting them in, a lot of people seem to be looking at this St. Louis team and valuing them very poorly, rating them very low within the market. Now, this Dallas team, on the other hand, I think a lot of people are very high on, currently sitting at a minus 204 for Dallas at home tonight against the Blues. Could this possibly be a situation where maybe this line is a little bit shorter than we anticipated it to be? Or Moretto, do you think this may be coming in right kind of where you expected?
I think it's about fair, but like with the Blues, they're such a volatile team. Their range of outcomes night to night is so wide that if you're going to back them, like these are the games to do it. I would never want to back them when they're favorites or anything like that. But like when you get these big prices, they're kind of an enticing team to want to get behind, because on any given night, they can beat any team. Like they have that high-end talent. They have Binnington's wide range of play where he can just steal them a game at one point. He can also look terrible at times. I'm not super high on the Blues, but I do believe that, on any given night, they can be a team that's very frustrating to bet against. So I'm not quite going to do it here because the Stars are just an absolute wagon, and I don't really want to get in front of that on the first day of the season, especially at home in front of those fans. That building can get pretty loud too. So just to stay away from me there. I do kind of like a little bit of an overplay, but like just not something I'm gonna get involved in with tonight. Because again, we can see Binnington, let in one goal. We can see him let in about 7. So I just not quite yet there. I want to see a bit more from the Blues in these first few weeks before I start betting into their games.
Right. And Russ, where do you kind of evaluate this Dallas team being at, especially with some of the hints stuff going on? Maybe not going here for the next little bit, and then against the Blues, where you're kind of sitting going, all right, where do we come in on this team with some of the volatility that Moretto mentioned?
Yeah, this is basically two teams I have going in complete opposite directions. Made a couple of different plays on Dallas futures, one of my favorite teams going into the year, and I think that they should have a great season. And I was surprised to see this open right around minus 200. I think that is a little bit short. This might be one of the squarest plays that I make, all season, or at least this week, for sure. But yeah, I looked at that in a Dallas regulation minus 125 or so at Pinnacle. That's a play for me for sure. I think that it probably should be minus 150 or even a little bit higher than that. So yeah, Caesar's got it at minus 145. That probably should be right around there. So if you're going to give me 20 cents of value at Pinnacle, I'll take that every day. It's pretty simple handicap, really. Seattle's defense is absolutely terrible. We know who Dallas is. Their solid defense, have a solid netminder in Ottinger. Dallas is second in goals expected last year. And St. Louis was 28th in expected goals for, and they're starting the exact same 6 on defense as they were last year. They really haven't made any changes to speak of. And, it doesn't seem like this is going to be a different team than it was last year. I'm not very high on Jordan Binnington. I think he could stand on his head, but he could also allow 5 or 6 goals in any given night. It's he's very volatile. The range of outcomes is very, wide for him. So yeah, I think, my fair line on this is closer to Dallas minus 260 or so. I don't want to lay all that lumber when I think they should easily win in regulation. And I think, they could probably win by 2 goals. Minus 1. Yeah, the minus 1.5 is probably playable as well if you don't want to lay that juice. But I think minus 125 in regulation when other shops are hanging minus 145 is a clear play for me. So I'll take the square route here, and I will go with the Dallas Stars at home.
All right, there you go. Loading up with best bets here today on the Thursday show. 7 games. Getting into the final game of the night. This Vegas Golden Knights team has been so far in that first game that we saw, the team basically that looked like they just came right out of the Stanley Cup and just continued their play from the playoffs of last season. Now you're going to go up here tonight at on the road, against the San Jose Sharks, who are widely projected to be the worst, and if not the worst, one of the bottom 3 teams in the NHL this coming season. Now, currently sitting with Vegas minus 240. We're seeing San Jose plus 212. Total sitting at 6.5. Moretto, how do you kind of break down this game? And is there any way that you'd want to bet on this one?
Oh, it's so ugly, but like, I can't get to Vegas at this number. I think it's just too long. San Jose's so bad. Their defense is just terrifying. But like, I don't hate a plus 1.5 here. Again, maybe I'm like not adjusting enough for like Adin Hill and how much Adin Hill has been fantastic. And this is the Adin Hill revenge game, right? I mean, I don't know if he needs revenge against the Sharks when he just won the Stanley Cup. I think that's the last thing on his mind. But I think the Vegas is still a little bit overvalued. That's just where I am with this. Again, it's boring. I'm not giving out much today in terms of plays, but like the Sharks just aren't exactly the team I want to, fade Vegas with. I went to that well on Wednesday night or Tuesday night, and I got burned with the Kraken. They couldn't score a goal. Their power play was, non-existent. And Adin Hill stood in his head. Do I want to, experience that same fate with the San Jose Sharks tonight? Probably not. So I think low volume day for me with just the Blackhawks, with just the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, Russ, you think that Vegas might be still overvalued here as well?
Yeah, I do. I think that this line is a little bit long. I'm not looking to play it at all, but I was pretty surprised to see this sneak out to 250 or 260, which is it's lined at now. I believe that they did confirm Logan Thompson in net for the Knights. Not that it makes a ton of a difference in my numbers. I have them pretty similar, but yeah, just running a player-based model. This San Jose team is trotting out 5 new forwards starting and 3 new defensive starters. So this is sort of a wait and see game. I do have a small edge on San Jose. If you're throwing, I don't know, if you have a pick 'em, if you're throwing a parlay out there, I think that, plus 1.5 is probably gun to my head. That's probably the way I would go if I had to make a bet on this game. But it's just too early in the season to take flyers like that. And I agree. I think they're pricing the Knights, like they were, like they're Stanley Cup champions. And after seeing that game opening night where they dominated, I think this number is a little bit high on them. But like I said, a bunch of new starters for San Jose. You got Logan Thompson in net. So there's a lot of question marks for me on this game. And it's a stay away. I'm not going to have a play.
All right, so we'll leave that one out. I do want to circle back quickly to the Minnesota game. There was a question here in the chat that I see asking about the Minnesota under 6.5. Is there any thoughts for you guys on that total? Is there any way that you might want to play that? Would you need it to get to a different number? Like, just any thoughts on that before we move on?
Not necessarily. I have a hard time playing any Panthers unders. We've made a good fortune betting their overs for the last couple of years, and I don't think that's going to change with all these guys out. I think that they could easily get to this game could easily actually get to 3-3 where you're cashing that over. So no, I mean it's right on market for me. I'm not gonna make a play, but I'd be wary to play any Panthers unders personally.
Makes sense.
I think with Bobrovsky and the wide range of outcomes that he comes with, and the defensive injuries for the Panthers, I think this is kind of I can't really justify a play on the under here.
All right, now I do have a bet here. We'll go a goal scorer prop for people because we haven't given. I don't think we've done goal scorers yet so far this year. So we'll look at one. It's not necessarily painted across the market as sitting at this number, but this is one that I was talking to Moretto ahead of time. I think is wrong. We'll go on a half unit on this one. Currently, it's even come down a little bit here, but Cole Sillinger anytime goal plus 470 on FanDuel right now. He's playing on the first line with Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau. He's supposed to be playing on the first power play unit right now. if you're telling me I'm going to get an opportunity with those guys playing on that line, especially in this spot here tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers, who I think could potentially be there with San Jose as one of the worst teams in the league this year, I think taking a guy on that first line with those two guys at plus 470 is a very good look. So we'll take that for a half unit. That'll be my goal scorer play for today. But otherwise, I think that'll do it for picks.
Yep. Just so the whole audience knows too, Zach had a banger of a play on Tuesday night, and he was holding out on all of us. He had the Pens minus 110 to win the opening faceoff, knowing that it would be Crosby against Bedard, which was about as big a mismatch as you could get. And he decided not to tell anyone until it was a past post. He posted it in our Edgeworth chat after the fact that it happened. So, just so you know, he's holding out on all of us, guys.
I made the bet like 3 minutes before, and I sent it 2 minutes after the fact, sending it over, and then it was right before the face-off went. But yeah, I did have that. I mean, that's just wrong. Like minus
that's a surprising
10.
line.
Yeah, that is. I'd never looked at a face-off market in my life, so would have appreciated a heads up. But what are you gonna do?
Nice catch.
All right, let's get to recapping the picks here today. We'll go through each of the picks. And again, for those who are new here to the show, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this stream. We do appreciate all the support. We'll go through as well what the picks are. But for reference, especially for those listening and on podcast form and not watching here, a unit we are tracking as $100. So if it's minus money to win 100, and if it's plus money, it's 100. Just laying the 100 to win whatever it is on the plus side. Now I'm currently looking at if we're going to go half units here, we're going $50 on these half units. And before I do recap those, RW fan said, "What is a Sillinger prop playable to?" I think if you're gonna go anything above 400 plus 400, I think it's good. I think below 400, you're getting into like a different. I probably would stay away, but 400 and above, and there was a few different books out there that were holding that, so I liked it at that. Matt saying sent it about 24 seconds before puck drop. I still sent it before puck drop. It was there. All right, recapping tonight's picks. First and foremost, we're going to go with the guest pick, the ghost pick from So Money, the New York Rangers, minus 125 on the money line for a unit there. Cole Sillinger, anytime goal scorer, plus 470 for a half unit on that one. The Columbus Blue Jackets money line, minus 108 for a full unit. Seattle, Nashville, under 6, plus 100, full unit. And then final pick, regulation time money line on the Dallas Stars, minus 126. So that is the regulation time minus on Dallas, minus 126 for a full unit. So real quick again, Rangers money line minus 125, full unit. Sillinger anytime goal, half unit. Blue Jackets money line, full unit, minus 108. Predators, Kraken under 6, plus 100, full unit. And then finally the money line regulation time for the Dallas Stars, minus 126. But those are our picks for today. If you did enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe here to the channel. Like this stream. It does help support the show. And if you are looking for any type of show updates, clips, anything like that, you can find us over on Twitter at EdgeworkHQ. Russ, Alex, thank you guys for taking the time to do this here today. For everyone in the chat, appreciate you guys coming out, asking questions, showing support as always. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Enjoy the games tonight. Good luck on your bets. Let's have a day.